Greetings and welcome back. I'm the Angrynator and it's finally Christmas. Well, it's December to be more precise, but who cares? Stores celebrates Christmas from the middle of October, so I guess it's only fair that I use all of December.
Ah, Christmas. A time of cheer, joy, and most important of all, presents. Who doesn't like to get a new PS2 game for Christmas, or that one Mario game you didn't own on Nintendo 64?
Well, for the past few years I've got nothing but coal from Santa Claus. But this year, I actually heard rumors that I might be getting something different. Yeah. So while we wait for good old Saint Nick, let's rip out an old tradition on the show and take a look at a horrible CG animated movie about Christmas. This is The Littlest light bulb on the Christmas tree. A pretty damn long and obscure title, is it not?
Before we look at this candy cane forsaken filth, let's take a look at the companies behind it.
Little Light Productions. That's funny. Do you think they maybe wanted to make a movie about, say, a Christmas tree, but Little Light Productions said, look, if you want our money to fund this movie, then you need to make it about little lights. We are very specific when it comes to our main protagonist.
Truth be told, this movie is based on a story I think originated from Germany. I'm not quite sure and information about this is scarce. Well, never mind, the movie sort of begins with giving us the narrator and actor roles, even though the IMDb page doesn't state who plays what, and most of them haven't been in a lot of good stuff before or since. Except for James Norton, who played Pete Burke in Planet of the Apes, the original one. So the movie starts out with the narrator telling us that the father of the family died in the war, which is a sad way to start any Christmas movie, but that is quickly brushed off by the narrator telling us the family is in dire need of money, so the mother makes dolls for a living. Oh, and this sentence.
But we were never poor, for we had each other, and we had something else too. Something extraordinary. A magical Christmas, unlike any other.
A magical Christmas? Oh my! What a wonderful thing to have! Screw food on the table, screw warm beds, you have a magical Christmas! That makes your whole life worth it, I guess.
Anyway, we start the movie and sees that CG animation has devolved since the release of Toy Story.
Bring me down that gold ball of yarn. Ouch!
See that scene with the mother pricking herself with a needle? Yeah, that's an important scene, so important that I actually have to emphasize it this much.
So we move on from the more important scene to talk about elves and whatnot.
I've never seen an elf around here.
Me neither. How can we see them?
You have to know where to look. Grown-ups are too busy to notice them, but children sometimes do.
Now this is a rather nice thing to say to kids, as it keeps the spirit and sort of mystery of the holiday alive within them.
But then again, the reason why adults can't see elves and other mythical beings is because they are adults? I mean, that's just silly. If I then happen to take a bite out of Kellogg's Frosted Mini Wheats, then...
Top of the morning to you, lad.
Oh my god!
Well, we move on and see that the family is getting a visit from a guy named Mr. Goodley.
Oh, Mr. Goodley! Oh, you look frozen.
Jeez, that's the same if you called your dog Dogly or your villain...
Doom needs no one.
Yeah. That.
So this guy is supposed to take the children to the town since the mother is too busy doing so, even though in an earlier scene she said she was just about done with the work and then she still don't have time. Before we can question this anymore, Goodley becomes rather creepy.
What do we have here? Little gingerbread people? I think a nibble or two off their noses will suit me just fine. Yum, 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 yum.
Is this a metaphor for some weirdly obscure racism, or maybe it's cannibalism? I'm not quite sure.
Of course you can. Everything in this room is eatable. Even I'm eatable. But that is called cannibalism, my dear children, and is in fact frowned upon in most societies.
Well, Mr. Goodley originally came to pick up the dolls, but bringing the kids along with the first song isn't that bad, I guess.
You can tell something's there in the air.
Now, I must say, it's not that bad a Christmas song, really. I mean, it's jolly and holly, so I guess we can give it a pass.
Buy your mother's gift, see you in an hour, don't wait. Sooner than you know, time is gonna go.
And now it went to shit. Great. Yeah. What can you say? Maybe if they spent some more time on the song, it could have been maybe decent. But who gives a crap? It's just to entertain kids, come on.
So after the song is done, we see that the entire song took place in a Snowtown window display.
The train is stopping. Wow. And we're going now. We came here to find Mama a present, remember? But what?
Yeah, that's the entire performance. Bitchy little brat who is more or less too harsh on her little brother. And also, somebody couldn't paste the script reading correctly. I mean, seriously. This actor makes Hayden Christensen's performance in the Star Wars prequel look like an Oscar nominee. How is that possible?
You're so beautiful.
Ugh. As somebody who actually liked the prequels, yeah, no shocking. Anakin really never was the highlight of the movies, was he?
Never mind, the kids Timothy and... annoying sister, yeah, she's just there to get the script going even though she reads it poorly. They are on their way to get their mother a present, but what would it be?
I know! We can buy Mama a thimble. That's a great idea. She's always pricking her finger with her sewing needle. Come on.
Of course, the thimble! Since we already established beforehand that she is a klutz. Oh, hallelujah for plot establishment! This movie surely has seen the light.
Yes! Yes! Jesus H. Goddamn Christ! I have seen the light!
We then cut to the main antagonist or basic villain in horrible kids movie number 10,012, Emmanuel Girthmore, since he's fat.
Useless. Completely and utterly useless.
The villain. Yeah, apparently that's what qualifies as villain material nowadays. Remember when Christmas villains just wanted to either destroy or rule Christmas? I feel like those times are well and beyond us. Just so that the movie creators can make room for people such as bulb Nazis. Apparently Girthmore throws that out along with a broken porcelain fairy.
Usually I would rant about a butt joke about here, but in the spirit of Christmas and the fact that we would never get through any movies if I actually did, let's just skip it.
Come on everybody, skip it!
We then have Emmanuel singing the Girth song. Yeah, that's what they call it. And we now can establish that this movie has a 5-minute marker for songs.
I know what holidays are for.
I'm not kidding, there is actually a song every 5 minutes in this movie. And given that the movie is 44 minutes long, that's about 8.5 songs. Why a half, you might ask? Well, they reuse one of them.
Anyway, I must give the movie credit as badly written and directed this villain is. I must say, he's devilishly evil and his song matches that perfectly. Now, I'm not saying it's a good song, but it is better than Elf Bowling's villain song, so give it a pass. The kids comes into the shop right after the song is over and they have a chat about spirit of Christmas and greed. Since the mother was supposed to deliver the dolls to this specific shop sometime before now, and we have a speech from Girthmore.
I can see it now. Girthmore! And jeepers, department stores all across America!
Hats off to him. He talked about being greedy and getting things mass-produced. Apparently that deserves an applause. So how about Scar from The Lion King?
Long live the king.
That deserves an applause too, I guess.
So after that speech, they get the thimble that is handcrafted, mind you. But do they have enough money?
But do we have enough money, Mr. Jeepers?
That's not nearly enough.
Okay, that is both weird and strange, but also rather hilarious in other ways too.
Well, they leave the store and they stumble upon the broken angel, which they decide to bring back home. But Timothy also wanted to bring something extra back home, so he brings the light bulb, of course.
Seeing is believing. That is all I know.
Oh, the 15-minute mark. I guess it's time for another song then.
After that song, Girthmore speaks to the Colonel from Food Fight. Yeah, those designs are freaking similar. And we'll then cut to the family and Timothy being quite the nut job.
It's a little Christmas light. I found him lying in the snow. When I picked him up, he glowed as if he knew I was there.
Aha! Well, I blame malnourishment.
Though they of course decide to decorate the tree, the angel was fixed between clips, and how do you best decorate a tree?
How about some music while we decorate the tree?
The best gift of all can never be found, ribboned in gold or beautifully bound.
Oh. 2 minutes late, I see. Tidy. Oh, so tidy. You are all just a bunch of slackers.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
So right after the song they finished decorating the tree. Well, almost.
What about Little Light? We didn't put him on the tree.
Oh my. How could I have forgotten?
I don't like how everybody refers to that light bulb as a person. It's just weird, man.
Nevertheless, the mother hangs it on the tree even though it shouldn't be able to glow like that, and honestly, I believe she kind of hoped the little brat forgot about that stupid bulb.
Yeah, that's the thing parents tend to do when kids are unreasonably stupid. Like, you found a trick you thought looked like a spoon, so you wanted your parents to eat with it. While the parents just sits there silently thinking, how did I go this wrong?
So right after, I'm not kidding, the very next scene is another song with Gurfmore, similar to the other one, but different lyrics.
Listening? Are you listening, George? Nope.
So, I actually have to question, what makes this villain so special? I mean, Scar only got one song.
Be prepared for the murkiest scam.
And so did Ursula.
Come on, you poor unfortunate soul!
And the dude from the Swan Princess.
One more time! A lion!
Okay, granted, he got to sing it twice. But I still do wonder, why does good villain sing once while that villain sings twice or hell even more sometimes? Well, actually, I think that in itself is an answer, so let's just move the holly jolly on.
So after he's done singing for the second time, Gurfmore wants to eat and increase his, as he said it, girth.
Then using my money to increase my girth!
Well, I've heard of weaker villains' motives before, so...
Well, he was supposed to meet up with his cousin so they could mosey off, but he decides to walk instead. In the middle of a snowstorm.
Where is Jonathan with the car? Oh, never mind. I am so full of the holiday spirit, I think I'll walk.
Gee, I don't even think that the Care Bears are this big-headed.
So since that isn't important enough, we cut to the family once again. Well, of course Gurfmore has to steal from the needy first.
Thundering idiots, they'll pay a price for their stupidity, and I'll consider this a down payment.
And right after that, Timothy is asleep, while this scene happens.
And I'm not kidding when I say that this weird, magical, whimsical scene takes about 5 fucking minutes!
So I can only assume that they tried to rip off Toy Story's success, but that was 5 years before this, and that was the second Toy Story.
Maybe they tried Small Soldiers? Yeah, I mean, bad movies getting carried by other bad movies, that is a well-known phenomenon in animation.
No, that was 6 years before this.
So I'm stumped. I got no clue what they tried to do here.
Maybe the movie got bored with itself and decided to add all this filler to drag the movie out 5 minutes more. I don't know, this entire scene makes no sense towards anything else apart from showing us that Little Light has a soul. Probably granted by Belial or maybe Lucifer, but still, a soul. As weird as that is. He even gets to sing at the end of the scene.
See my light come shining through, deep inside my heart's alive.
So, since we are on the topic of demonic beings, look at the dog and tell me something is not wrong.
What? Huh?
Ugh. Let's see that in slow-mo and whatever other effects I might find. Don't expect too much though, as I am lazy. Now that is possessed if I ever seen it.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
So it appears that Gurfmore found his way because of the stupid light bulb shining ever so bright. Gee, I have never heard about that in any other Christmas story now, have I?
I need you tonight.
Well, due to this very light bulb that was broken but is now fixed, Gurfmore believes in the Christmas spirit.
But that light was broken. I know it was. How can it shine like that?
That is pretty weak. Seriously.
And the entire thing ends with Tim or Timothy telling us what happened ever after. Granted, it started out as a story told from the older times, so that's okay. What's not okay is the picture of the husband.
And as for Little Light, if you look inside your heart...
Yeah, what gives? A picture from the Second World War in color, and pictures from presumably the 60s and 70s, I guess. And black and white? What gives, man?
Anyway, to sum it all up, the movie is a clusterfuck. It feels like it was in iteration constantly. Like 5 people wrote the script, one at the beginning, one at the end, and the rest whatever they happen to feel like. It feels like a mess, and to make it worse, none of the scenes sort of matches up with the rest. Like, we got the obvious Scrooge story in there, so... okay, it's a Christmas Carol. Actually no, since they decide to focus more on Tiny Tim. Well, okay, that's just a different angle of a Christmas Carol. Actually no, since they also have the whole toys and decorations to life stuff. Okay, so it's Toy Story's Christmas? Well, yeah, for 5 minutes, then it just more or less wraps up. None of the actors apart from one is recognizable, mainly because most of them didn't do anything but this. The lines doesn't always add up to the story. Sometimes it feels like the characters doesn't even speak to each other but is in their own little world. And I have to say, as strange and bizarre as it is, I kind of like the villain Gurfmore. He seems just enough evil to be believable, especially considering precedents of comedies nowadays. What more can you say than, do watch something better, man?
And I just have to say this. Littlest Pet Shop, come on! How can you not make that comparison? I'm the Angrynator, wishing you a Merry Christmas, and whatever else you might celebrate.